Hey, welcome to Pat's Soundbites IGTV. Keeping new music alive is what I do on the radio and now on video. Conducting live chats with the artists and learning the stories behind their latest release and also playing their new video. Special thanks today to my sponsor Go-Go Tuners for all guitar players looking for a focus on ease of use, readability, durability, and accuracy. Look no further. The Go-Go Tuner is the choice of many touring professionals and a favorite of casual players. Go-Go's signature green you're in and red you're out screen makes tuning quick and easy. For more information, go to the website at gogotuners.com. Special thanks to WBXO Classic Rock Radio Redefined, allowing me to keep new music alive on the radio airways on the Pat Show every Sunday from 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Only on WBXO Classic Rock Redefined. And a big thank you to Mr. Evan Balzer for allowing me to use his amazing instrumental that you're hearing right now. It's called Trails. To find out more incredible music by Evan, go to his website at evanbalzer.com. And my guest today is the amazing singer-songwriter Sharon Groom. She'll be releasing an album upcoming called 2 Blocks South of Normal. How cool of a title is that? She just released her second single entitled Soldier Boy, which is a military thunderous marching anthem, which I love. We're going to play that song right after our conversation. We're going to talk to Sharon about the upcoming album, the track. We're going to be joined by her producer, Josh Eagan. Got a lot going on right here on Pat's Soundbites IGTV.
Yeah.
Hey, live on a Pat Cam. What a Pat Cam. Yeah, a Pat Cam. Pat's Soundbites IGTV. Keeping new music alive here in New York. The crazy sick guy on a Friday the 13th. But who's suspicious? I'm not. Hanging out with these two people, and I got a good one, boy. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She's very pretty and gorgeous.
Oh.
I don't know how she got from Virginia to L.A., but she's there, and she's got a great couple of tracks out that we're going to talk about. And I'm talking Miss Sharon Groom. How are you, Sharon?
I'm great. Nice to be on your show, Pat. I'm glad we finally met.
Oh my God. I'm like, I keep getting beyond like, Josh, we got to do something. And then I got the Joshster.
Yeah.
The famous producer, the drummer, the man from Vegas, the Copacabana room man himself. Oh, and he's married to the G.
The G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The G. How are you, brother Josh?
I'm doing much better now. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Well, we are doing good. I mean, I said to Sharon the first time you told me about Sharon, and I said, so what's the name of the album, or what do you got going? Is it an album? Is it an EP? And you told me 2 blocks south of Normal. And I go, I'm looking out my window. I go, that is everywhere in New York. And it's the best album title I have ever heard. And then I went out to our website and I saw the sign and I kind of put 2 and 2 together. But kudos to Sharon for coming up. If you came up with that, that's a fantastic album cover.
I have some neighbors. One of my neighbors, Rachel Martin, if you're watching, she was like, Sharon, I'm so glad you used my idea. I'm like, wait a minute, it was my idea. So I think we had a conversation at some point, but we all lived 2 blocks south of Normal. So
I mean, that is so cool. That could relate to anywhere, but especially, well, in New York and LA, I would figure, holy crap, man.
And I'm not normal, so.
Well, I don't look. If you're in the music business, I don't think any of us are. We just love hearing tunes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Sharon had Any Time, Any Minute that came out in October, and I fell in love with that. I'm sorry I kind of missed that jump start, but Soldier Boy, her second single just released, and kind of perfect timing with the whole Veteran Day just the other day and stuff like that. And I was thinking yesterday, the more I was playing Soldier Boy and listening to a lot, I mean, it's got this I have a 32-year-old son, I should say, who is on the video, blah, 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 Call of Duty. And the more I hear it, I said, that song really needs to be in a video game or some sort of, it's got this thunderous, haunting, marching. And the more I hear you sing and the way the song comes out, you could really close your eyes and picture, some sort of movie, rockets flying, shooting. And I don't know if I'm the first to say that or if others have told you that, but like I said, the more I'm looking at my notes, adventurous video game, Call of Duty. I'm like, wow. So I love it. I'm hooked. Talk to me about Soldier Boy. Congratulations. I love it. I promise you, we will definitely get it on the rotation with your anytime, any minute, which we'll talk about the ceiling coming down and your wonderful neighbors.
Yeah. Well, first of all, wow, that's such a nice thing of you to say about my song. So thank you. I'm glad that you like it. Really glad that you like it. And I have had a couple of people that are like, yeah, I can hear this in a movie or something like that. So, but video games, that could be cool.
Pa-ching!
Yeah.
Pa-ching!
Because people aren't buying music anymore, so placement's really where it's gonna probably make some money.
So when you have your list of 10 or so songs and you go work with Josh at his studio, do you have the whole that whole marching and the drumming part in your head and you try to translate that to Josh as the producer and also a musician on it?
Well,
how does that walk me through that process? Because I think it would be pretty interesting to hear.
I'll walk you through this song because this song actually took a lot longer to write. So I started writing it in 2008 and I had that bum, 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 bum. I had that rhythm in there because I heard something that was kind of marchy and I only had a verse recorded. But the reason I never finished the song was because it took me a while to realize that the verse was really a chorus. And once I designated that as the chorus, it helped me write the rest of the song. And so in 2015, I started, kind of finishing the song. And Josh, he heard in his head, he's like, yeah, we need cadence drums, marching drums, and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a drummer. I can only kind of give you an idea of what I hear in my head, but Josh is really the mastermind behind the drumming. And
it's such a big ingredient to that song.
Oh,
if you picture without it would lack something. I mean, when marching on Soldier Boy, but to hear it, you could almost see troops coming over a hill. I'm not visioning the Civil War, but it's such a really, the song is really contagious to me now that I've listened to it enough going, wow. So talk to me there, producer, artist, entrepreneur, wonderful husband. What did you think of this song? You go, a drummer? Oh yeah, I'm in.
Well, I thought I was going to get paid by the track. So I thought, hey, I'm going to keep adding some more drums here, No, originally it sort of invoked a very military theme, obviously, and the drum cadences. And, I was hearing it's sort of hearkening back to Revolutionary, and then, up all through the years, different cadences of drummers, the drum and fife sort of thing. And, in the olden days, they would have the drummers, marching as the troops would go over. First World War, they'd have them. So that became very indicative of how I wanted to start it when she came in, because the vocals came in and we had the juice harp playing, which was a really cool.
Is that what that is in the beginning? Okay, yeah, that is cool too.
It's a very southern thing, and it set the tone for that. So I thought right then, when the snare comes in with the press roll and then the drums come in, and that's how I was hearing it. And I thought, okay, we should lead it in with the drum cadence. And then that became more snare drums. And there was probably 10 or 12 different drums on it. And a lot of them were some of them was 100-year-old, vintage snare drum.
That 1912. Was it 1912? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
1913 Hoskins, like the very first tunable marching snare, double tension, and there's like maybe 3 or 4 on the planet, So it's a huge marching field drum, and then I had some of the Rogers stuff and some old Ludwig Black Beauties, and we just started stacking drums and field drums with textures. Some of them had rope snares, so it has that real thick original sound. It isn't like a modern snare sound. So we started stacking all of these, and then the marching bass drums, and then we figured when the end of the tune came, because we had so many tracks going, as a tune built, each thing started stacking. So by the time that the chorus came in, it was huge. And I mean, track wise, it was 100 and I want to say 168 tracks. I mean, it was obscenely huge. We had choirs and orchestra and more choirs and more orchestra, and the drums started coming in, and so it's just obscene the amount of instruments that were going. And then that became a challenge of how does everything have a voice to speak? Because then you had James playing the solo, and the guitar solo had to float over the top, still had to leave room for that, and then the vocals. So what I was hearing honestly in my mind was, do you remember the tune Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, there's a spot in the song where you just get kind of goosebumps where the strings come in and the tune just builds, and you hear the string line come in, and that's the climax of the song. That's what I wanted to build to. I always loved how they did that thematically to that point. So when she comes back in after the reprise and the string lines are coming in, it was such a nice build all the way through the end of the tune. And then when it hit the end, then I thought after this big epic boom, the explosion comes in, and she comes back in for the oh, and the verses go out. That's where the cadence starts coming in again. So it's very theme driven how it rolls out of it. And I thought that Dave Carlock did just a gorgeous job on the strings and the bass and everything. But the strings just sounded beautiful. I mean, they were just really nice counterpoint, how everything was floating off each other. So, but it presented a lot of interesting stumbling blocks along the way,
But it's a home run because the final product is incredible when you put the headsets on and you just close your eyes and you just let it go. And with Sharon's vocal, and then you, like I said, that was one of my questions. What is that instrument that really catches your attention and follows through the whole song? The other thing I'm thinking of, when Seven Angels and the entire Copa Room entourage goes on tour, this has got to be like Sharon's finale song. Like she comes out for an encore, and you see these guys coming with drum and hearing the drum marching and marching and marching, and somebody drapes the flag down. And I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. My father was a Purple Heart recipient in World War II.
Oh, wow.
2 brothers served, one in the Marine Corps, one on the Navy on an aircraft carrier. So when it comes to military, my flag flies every day. Being a fire guy and an emergency service guy,
yeah.
I'm all in it. But I can picture that, it's like some of these guys, like Josh said, like a fife and drum corps coming on stage. The U.S. flag drapes on it. I mean, my hair's standing, and Sharon just gets into it, and you bring a chorus in, the local, kids, and it just like takes off. I'm telling you, that would be great to see at a production side.
Well, I think the tune had there's a level of sort of pomp and circumstance,
Yes.
that it goes along with it because of what it is and what it's talking. And it's a very serious tune, what it's talking about. But it had to be presented in a way, one of an anthem, and it had to have an air of patriotism to it in how it was presented, because it is. I mean, the military is near and dear to us, and thematically there is. I hope that's a word too. I'm using it like, hey, cool word. But thematically, there's like there's a way to present it that you would have to, you have to honor the tradition of the sound. The military has a certain sound they do.
Absolutely.
and so you want to keep it in fitting with that, but also keep it in with a rock anthem. And so it was a blending of everything. But I'm really proud of what Sharon did on the end of it, where she's just yelling and screaming. So we got her out of her comfort
My
zone.
comfort zone.
Yeah.
No, she's a quiet girl from Virginia that just didn't really let it go.
Oh, I'm not exactly
Yeah.
quiet, but that song was challenging for me. Normally, I'd be much more comfortable going in a smoky jazz kind of, kind of thing like that. But then it's like, okay, I really need to step it up now for this song. So that's actually something that's fun about my songwriting, because it's so eclectic. It actually challenges me vocally to sing what I need to sing for that specific song.
And that's what you would want out of a producer, right? Somebody to say, you're good, but I know you could do better.
Josh
And I know it's got to be very difficult for Josh, not only as the producer, but also a musician that, he gets it from, he gets it from both sides and understands it. I'm sure he might not be the friend that day, but going, Sharon, I know if you dig deeper, there's something there that's going to come out. And in the end, you're going to be thanking me for it, even though you hate my guts now.
Or you hear the expletive start flying. I'm like, Sharon, the mic's still on.
Obviously, Sharon, have you gotten great exposure with the song? Is it done what you've expected in a little time so far?
Well, I've been very, very fortunate that I have a lot of people back home. There's been quite a handful of people that have shared it and have listened. And I want to thank all of those people that have known my struggle and my journey through the music over the years, that are supporting me. So thank you very much. I am starting to pick up some traction on my Facebook page, Sharon Groom Music. And so I'm getting some hits and stuff like that, but it's only been a week. So, and nobody really outside of, who I know knows who I am. So we got to push it along.
We're going to take care of that as much as we can. And it was great to see you on Carlos's show, which he handles the whole armed forces. And I watched a little of your chat with Carlos, and he does a great job. And I thought, boy, Josh and I talked maybe earlier that week, and he said, you're going to be on the show. And I said, look, it needs to be on that show more than anything, because the armed forces will definitely grab a hold of that and hopefully take that to another level on their own. So I think that was great. And it was a great chat with Carlos. Josh is a co-host now. He pops in there. I'm like, there he is again. Like, oh, this guy. But all good, Sharon. Talk to me about well, I'm like, I got notes all over the place here. How did you know? How did it all start for you with music? How did you know music is like, that's going to be my calling? Was mom, dad, somebody musically inclined? Did you watch somebody on TV? Did you go to a show and go, that's it, packing the bags, going to LA? Linda Ronstadt, look out, I'm coming.
Well, I've been musical ever since I was little. When I was 4 and my sister was 9, my sister is an amazing singer. So my mom wanted to capture that, because at 9 years old, my sister, she was singing. So my mom and her friend Phyllis, they would clean houses and she would save money. And we actually went to Richmond, Virginia and recorded a gospel album, which I sang one song on with my sister.
Wow.
So
nice.
That was kind of the beginning. And then, I did 4-H. Virginia 4-H was, I don't know if it is still now, but it was back then. And so I tap danced, my sister sang, and I would harmonize with my sister. I also grew up in a Mennonite church where you have 4-part harmonies. So I would sit there and just kind of make up my own harmonies in between, because I couldn't read the notes when I was little. Then I taught myself piano, and then I taught myself guitar, and I eventually moved out here because there was only one open mic back in Virginia at the time, and it was like 45 minutes away from my house. And I just knew that I needed to explore and just kind of find myself. And so I moved out to Los Angeles because I'm like, hey, I got 2 suitcases and my guitar. I'm going to move out here and I'm just going to see what happens. And I started playing open mics and playing shows and things like that. And then, it got to a point where people were like, "Oh, do you have a CD?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have any of these things." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm marketing material that, I don't have. I need an album." So I kind of stopped playing out, and then I started really honing in on my writing. And around in 2003 or so, I met Josh. We knew each other quite a few years, and it wasn't until like around maybe 2009 or so that we were all hanging out with some friends, and then I played a song, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you did that."
Wow. Do another. Come on.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd go to all these jams, and Josh would be playing drums, like all of my friends, and they're way more, well versed on their instruments. I'm a songwriter, but I never really learned a lot of covers because I was always in my own little bubble writing, making up songs all the time. So I'd be in awe of these guys.
The song that you played for Josh and your friends, was it one of your own songs, or was it a
it was called All That I Wanted.
Okay.
And I think it's like Yellow Feather too. I think I played a couple of songs, and then Josh, you want to take over?
For that, I happened to just hear that song, and I'm looking at my notes, and I got my note is Atlantis Morissette. There's
interesting.
It sounded. I said to Josh, I close my eyes and just say, what am I listening to? And I'm a lyric guy, and I want to understand the story. I think it's important. I like, read the notes and read the lyrics or try to understand what the story behind it. But I have here, very great song, but I wrote Atlantis Morissette. And I said, I wonder if anybody's ever given you that feedback.
Not on that song. That's interesting. This is when All That I Wanted?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've gotten what's her name? Country lady, red hair.
Well, Reba McEntire?
Strangely and oddly enough.
Yeah, you talking
I love
Reba?
Wynonna Judd. I can't sing like that woman, but yeah. I've gotten some interesting stuff, but yeah, I've never heard Atlantis Morissette. That's pretty awesome.
No, it's a pretty cool track. What do you think, Josh, when she starts like on the couch and starts whipping out this original, and everybody just like takes a breath and goes, wait a minute, she's just not here for the munchies and the beer. She could actually participate.
Oh no, I remember we were all getting together. We were in my living room that night, and we were listening to where Sharon picked up the guitar and she sang Yellow Feather.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was Yellow Feather first.
It's Yellow Feather, and everybody got real quiet. It was about maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 people in the room. Everybody got real quiet, and it was just like you could hear a pin drop, and it was really cool. And we all went, "Wow, we got to do something." And then we went, "Okay, let's go to the studio." So I lived about 20 minutes away from the studio, so we tailed it over there at about, I don't know, midnight almost.
We were there until like
load up the van, we're going.
It was, yeah, literally. And so we went over to the studio in the middle of the night, and then it was Lucy and Pete and Sharon, I and TJ, and we went over there and we started tracking. But it wasn't Yellow Feather. We did All That I Wanted was the first tune for the record, so that's the one we did that night, and we had pretty much the bones of it done that night. We got pretty far into it, and it was really interesting how everything just kind of, fell together and gelled. But then after that tune, Sharon and I had talked about, her record is very diverse. It's kind of polar opposites. It's a very bipolar record. I love it. So it's one extreme to the other, and somewhere you have to make sense of all the tunes. So we went through probably 40 tunes, 30 tunes of what we were considering for the record, and just a lot of really good tunes in there. It wasn't like they weren't good enough. It was just what would fit stylistically as a cohesive record. And so we picked this, and then what we had to decide was, okay, well, the first tunes of the record, what are they going to be? We had to develop a sound, quote unquote. So that's where we started with, it was Big Daddy, it was Incense, and Yellow Feather.
Yeah.
So those 3 tunes were the core of her whole record. So then once we got that, the sound really took shape of this vibey, sort of eclectic, yet bluesy, trip hop. It had a lot of different elements in it, but it was very vibey. Like you didn't know if it was, exactly what you were listening to, but it was cool. It was unique, and you couldn't put your finger on it. So from there, then we branched out. So everything on the rest of the record had to have sort of a line tethering it back to that core. And then we use that as the meter of, like, even if we want really rock on it, is there something in that track that's cohesive with the core? And then same thing with like All That I Wanted. It's very happy, almost country-ish. Is there something that's cohesive back to the core sound? And that's how we use it as a litmus test for all the songs. So it seemed to work, but and then they say, what's your single on the record? I go, well, they're, in honesty, the whole record, it's almost like it's one piece of work from start to finish, like kind of like a Pink Floyd record.
Yeah, I mean, Big Daddy, I go from jazz, easy listening. I picture myself in a jazz club with a low lit lamp or lounge. And then you go to Anytime, Any Minute, and it's like the guitar riff, and it's just like holy crap. Head case kind of builds up. I want to say there's a sax in there, or horn,
yeah.
or horns.
Yeah, tenor horns.
All I ever wanted was for you to understand. Is that asking too much? I mean, whoa. Then you get to the Porcelain God. Was that at the 4 a.m. of too many shots of tequila?
I wrote that right after I got out of college, and I didn't finish the bridge until 2012. But that song, it's about drinking too much. It's definitely about throwing up and praying to the porcelain god.
So I guess I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway, Sharon. So where do you draw this inspiration from of your songwriting creativity? As Josh said, I mean, this album goes all over, which is great because that's me outside the box. Anybody come, yeah, I got a rock album, but you know what? There's no such thing as genres anymore. There really isn't. It started from the blues, and I see more artists are playing blues and rock and R&B, and I think it's great. It might suck on the radio end, maybe for corporate radio, because they're so focused. I mean, even for us, we say classic rock, but we added the tagline "redefined" a few years ago, which allows us to do whatever we want to do. Right. Because like we talked about before we hit the record button and Josh came on, Taylor Swift, we were all, country. And then all of a sudden we're now into pop. And now we got Post Malone hanging out with Ozzy Osbourne. The boundaries are done. So you could really do whatever you want. And your album is perfect for that. So as much as I love Porcelain today, I said to Josh, Porcelain God. And then it's like, hello, idiot. I mean, I've looked at the Porcelain God many a times, and it didn't even dawn on me what you were trying to get at. But so obviously you're growing up, your inspiration is all this in your head, and you wrote them all down and said, I want to get these out.
Yeah. Well, to what you were saying, like my favorite thing to listen to growing up is a mixtape. I like things being all over the place. Like
hit the shuffle button.
Yeah, hit the shuffle button. I like the emotional range of changing songs. It's like, if I have something that's just like just the same thing, same sound all the way through, for me, I lose interest. So that's just me, personally. But as far as, writing songs where I get my inspiration, I tap dance as a kid to a lot of 20s and 30s music. My mom, dad's 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s records and stuff. And then 80s.
Oh, their wedding. I mean, their anniversary of 40 something plus years. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. So, so I have influences from all over, and I see different songs, different emotions have different genres for me. So I guess it just depends on what I'm feeling. It's like, when I wake up one day, what am I going to wear? I may look like goth one day, and I may look like a hippie the next, whatever. I just do whatever I feel. So when it comes to songwriting, I guess when the song just sort of writes itself and what I'm feeling, and I don't know how to explain it. It just comes out of me.
Does it start with a lyric first? Do you go to the keyboard? You grab a guitar? Does it all whatever in the head that you just decided to?
most of my songs start with a guitar riff or a drum beat or a bass line. I do a lot of my writing in Reason. So what I like about Reason, and that program actually helped me write outside of my acoustic guitar, because, you know, different instruments kind of inspire different types of music or different types of ideas and things like that. So I use that as a writing tool. So, you know, and as far as melodies, I love melodies and I love harmonies and stuff. So all it takes is a rhythm or some kind of beat or something, and you can find a rhythm or a melody in it.
Well,
So,
the minute I heard like Big Daddy, I said, okay, maybe we're leaning more towards jazz. But then when you get into Anytime, Any Minute and Head Case and Yellowfin, you go down that road, you go, oh no, no, no. This is super cool. I mentioned Linda Ronstadt. I've always been a big fan of Linda Ronstadt. Who were you looking up? Who were you listening to and inspired you from a female vocalist standpoint?
gosh, you know, when I used to do karaoke, I had a lower singing voice. So it was really hard for me to sing a lot of female stuff. So I ended up singing dude songs. So,
Okay.
you know, when I first picked up guitar, I was listening to Dave Matthews and Indigo Girls. I was listening to that kind of stuff. And so I did kind of start out folk, but then it's like, I love Sting. I love a blue note. You know, and that's something I've always loved about, you know, his writing. And then, you know, just the melodies of the 50s and 60s really inspired me. I wouldn't say any one specific artist has really inspired me. It's just, if it's a good melody, good harmony and stuff, that's what attracts me to a song when I'm listening to it. It doesn't really matter who it is, but I mean, I've always loved Annie Lennox. I think she's great. And I love how she's always been a diverse, you know, kind of
Yeah,
artist.
Annie and the Eurythmics and Dave
Yeah.
Leonard. Wow.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, there's lots of them, but yeah, there's just so much music out there and so many things that that I've grabbed onto or just, you know, gravitated towards. And I guess that's what comes into my music when I express myself.
So I'm going to bring you back to Soldier Boy. Was there
Yeah.
someone that you knew that came home? I mean, it's a powerful song, and if you listen to the words and understand it, and like I said, I come from a military background, and I've seen a lot of my brothers and my uncles, my father's friends, and was there somebody that you said, "Wow, I need to like"? It was right there, fresh. I'm writing this all down, and
I think it had more to do with the fact that we, you know, when 9/11 happened and I moved back out to LA in 2002, I just kind of, you know, this was all kind of like, wow, overwhelming in a lot of ways. And I was trying to understand it. And having grown up in a military area where there's, you know, you've got the Norfolk Naval Base near me, you know, I actually worked at as a contractor for the Naval Weapons Station for about a year and a half or so. So there's, you know, I've been around a lot of military people growing up in Virginia, and then coming out to LA and seeing veterans living on the streets and being homeless. I mean, that's just horrible. And just seeing all of that. And then also it's like, you know, I've met people that have been to war, but they don't talk about it, and trying to understand the trauma and everything that they're in. Here we are in the United States, just living our lives, partying, doing whatever. You got these people that are sacrificing their life in war and doing all of this stuff. And when they come back, they have seen things, they have been through things that none of us will ever experience or ever relate to or understand, because we weren't actually there. You can watch it on TV or whatever. It's not the same thing of being there.
no.
And so when I wrote this, I wanted to write it from a thing where anyone listening to it could put themselves in the shoes of that soldier boy and feel what they're going through. And I actually, when I started writing the verses, after, you know, sitting on that chorus for such a long time, I started doing research. I looked up, you know, I wanted to understand military lingo. Like I didn't know that. So I spent some time, you know, boomstick. I didn't know that boomstick was, you know, that was cool. Also just learning about the 100 days of war, how someone has a better chance of survival after the first 100 days of war. I did not know that.
Wow.
And, you know, just understanding, like, you know, you're leaving your family, you're going to war, you don't know if you're going to come back. You know, one of the things I think that always stuck with me as a kid growing up is, you know, the mom, she's pregnant and the husband goes off to war, and will he ever get to meet his child? Will this child even get to meet his father? You know, those kinds of things. And then, you know, you have the whole mental health aspect. They come back, you've got to get reacclimated to what's going on in you know, back at home. And, you know, a lot of these guys that have been through major traumatic experiences, they're not going to be the same person.
Yeah.
And sometimes families fall apart because of things like that. You know, I just want to see people get better help when they come back and help get, you know, I just can't imagine putting your life on the line for your country and then coming back and then not getting the help you need. And I hope, you know, more and more people are aware of the mental health. You know, there's a quote from Plato, actually, only the dead have seen the end of war.
That's true.
And that's at the end. And it is true. You know, I can't imagine I'm reliving something like that every single day.
I wonder if the military would, like I said, again, latch on to that and use it as some sort of advocate and help for the mental health end of it and stuff like that. I remember, clear as day, growing up in the Bronx when, out of the blue, I remember my mother and father got in an argument, and I had an older brother at the time. My younger brother wasn't born, and the conversation led into my father ended up getting malaria in the South Pacific. He was in the
Oh, wow.
Philippines, and he was offered 100% disability. And my mother was arguing with him to take the 100%. You earned it. And he absolutely said, nope, I'll settle maybe for 80. I got friends that have lost a lot more than I ever do. So, you know, that was probably my first personal, like, life experience. Like, what are we talking about and what's going on? The older you got,
Yeah.
we never watched World War II movies, and there was none of that. But my father was very patriotic. When my brother joined the Marine Corps, I mean, he got a bottle of rye out, he cranked on the military record, and he was marching around in the flag, and he's like, good for you. He was like excited for him. He always said, oh, you guys need to go to the military and grow up and learn. And, you know, that's that kind of stuff. But you're right. I mean, I know the stuff that he saw that we would never, ever. I mean, I was a big fan of watching John Wayne and the Green Beret.
Yeah.
You were watching at my house, I can tell you that. I wasn't. My mother would just look at you and go, yep. Okay, Scooby-Doo, back to well, you got a great song. It's very powerful.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. It could be used for so many wonderful purposes, and I just hope that we can get it out to enough people that they latch on and say, wow, this young lady did an outstanding job, as well as Josh from the producer side of it. I mean,
this song wouldn't be what it is without Josh.
Track after track
Honestly.
after track after track.
Josh and Dave, and I mean James, everybody that contributed on the song is what made this song. I mean, James's guitar solo is awesome. I had this melody in my head, and I remember him going, wait, you have a guitar solo in mind? I was like, can you make this a guitar solo? And then he turned it into a guitar solo magically. His playing is just so incredible on this record. And then the string arrangement, there was 10-piece orchestra, Dave Carlock in Michigan. He got some players together, and he wrote the arrangement for it. And I'm just very blessed that you know, he was able to do that. And also you know, I had some friends that came in. We did a lot of the choir using MIDI, but I also had real live people come in and sing with it too. And that would be Ashley Roper, Meltem Ege, and of course the lovely Georgia.
Yeah, G, gotta get in there.
Yeah, she's singing on it too. And let's see, who else, Josh? Who am I missing?
Julia.
Oh yes, Julia and Andrew. They did the they did those parts.
Han?
Yeah. Oh wait. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Hans Zermulin. Did I say that right? I'm sorry, Hans. He played the B3 organ, which was fantastic.
Josh, what does the world need to know about this incredible, inspiring, talented artist here that you can share with us that she might not be, you know, nobody likes to talk about ourselves, especially the great parts of us that we like. But from an outsider working with Sharon and the abilities and talents that she has, obviously, the world needs to know about Miss Sharon Groom here. So, what can you share about this wonderful young lady?
She likes hamburgers. No,
I love it.
she's very talented. I mean, literally, like, it goes back to the first time we had sat down, and we all knew Sharon. I mean, we all where that the apartment was. Excuse me. It was sort of like the Melrose Place thing. All the musicians, we all knew each other, and so I'd go over there, and and all of our friends lived in this apartment building in Hollywood, different places. It was, Chris Kleiner, Mike Sanders, TJ. There was just a lot of different people in this little environment, and Sharon was there. So we'd known each other for a long time. And that night that we got together, that Sharon just kind of just picked up a guitar. When somebody kind of out of left field gets your attention, you didn't see it coming. That's what it was. We kind of all went like, wow, and it really hit everybody like, where did that come from? Because and I don't think anybody clocked that Sharon had this level of talent. Nobody, she's very kind of quiet and reserved, and and so nobody really knew that this how talented she was. And at that point, then it all just started like, well, check this song out and check this song. And there's literally such a wealth of material. She has an incredible knack for writing. And I mean that sincerely. She's just gifted with being able to hear hooks and melodies very simply. And she'll hear so many of the parts coming in. So a lot of times with Sharon, she would have very much an idea of everything that was going to be there. She'd hear counterpoints. I want this, I want this. No, it's a matter of structuring out how we wanted to put them in. And there's a talent there that most people don't have, and it's a natural talent. I don't think it isn't a learned one. This is something that's innate in her being, that she is really honest and truthful. And I think that's what presented the biggest obstacle on the record was when you have an artist, if they're a rock singer, like you said, or a funk singer or a jazz, this is who they are, and you have your scope. Sharon is everything. And we have to be able to represent that, because you can't pick one little bit of her of an artist and give an accurate representation, especially for her debut record.
Right.
So that's what was interesting, because what you see is what you get. I mean, she's able to very easily write a jazz tune, is turn around and write a country tune, an R&B tune, a rock tune. Her brain is able to hear really nice counterpoints and melodies, and that is, as I would say, even before a singer, she's a songwriter first. She's coming from a songwriter point of view, and her stories that she's lived through come out in her music. It isn't fake. Everything on the record. I mean, I have to just tell a story about Pretend when she was doing the thing, and as we were recording, they had to stop the session because everybody was crying.
This is the piano one, right?
Very
emotional. It was a beautiful song. I thought I heard violin, and I'm like,
about
whoa.
the death of her father. It was the death of her father. And literally they had to stop, and people were in tears. They couldn't record. And they said, I'm sorry, this has never happened before. And they literally had to stop because they were crying, listening to it as they were putting the overdubs on. And that was, and Georgia was on the phone,
yeah, right,
she's crying, and Julia was sitting on the chair, and I think everybody was there. I think Julia was there that day, and she was crying.
No, she was there a different day, but
okay.
She was there for Head Case, I think.
Oh, Head Case, yeah. But everybody that was in the room, I remember, was in tears. Everybody welled up and was just taken back at how deep this is. You can't
ask for anything more than that when you actually see the emotion that others are inflicted out. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's it. And it's coming from truth. She doesn't pretend to be anybody. She's who she is. And that's what I respect, is that she's honest. And this is her life that she's putting out there. And that's what I love about it. So it was about accurately representing her as a person, and from everything very seriously to literally everything as obscenely bizarre as Porcelain God. And with all the, we got a calliope of every, we've got it's just all the bizarre instruments, and we have, Diatre playing accordion, and all I could think of was the Beatles being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. It was that sort of thing, and where she talks about spinning, and James did such a great job with the guitar, giving that dizzy feeling. And then there's even an alternate version, which will probably never see the light of day, but it has we did a tag ending of her praying to the porcelain god, and I'll leave it at that.
That was so much fun.
And it was very authentic. Let me leave it at that. I mean, the Foley effects on this were Academy Award winning,
Well, it might come out in the second follow-up album that we can read into it.
I'll send you one. I'll send you the actual. We had to cut the ending off it, but she's praying to the porcelain god.
Oh boy!
But it was it was just ridiculous. But this is where the record kind of goes. It was like very tongue-in-cheek, very playful, yet very, very dark, and that's Sharon. She's that sort of emotional, gamut.
All very good, Sharon. All I can say is but maybe the sister I don't have, because anybody that lives 2 blocks out the normal, you're a family member of all of us, whether you like it or not, whether it's New York, Virginia, or LA. It's all great stuff. Sharon, what do you do for outside interests and hobbies besides writing, creating, and playing?
Well, with this pandemic, it's been kind of hard to get out and do stuff. I've just, I work part-time. I've been really into, I went through a phase where I was playing a lot of Zelda because of escapism. Couldn't leave the house, so I can go around the world of Zelda. But music is the main thing. It's like, I'm always singing to my cats, making up random songs or whatever, and I just
what would it be like if you we ever get back to some part of a normal, you walk into a karaoke bar and you whip out Anytime, Any Minute or Soldier Boy or any of your All I Ever Wanted, just to see the reaction of folks, and here's Sharon Groom, and she's going to sing one of her own songs, with no words, just to see the reaction of people. I think that would be super cool. Like,
that would be interesting.
I didn't go, I got CDs over here that I can sign.
Well, I was running an open mic at the Universal Bar and Grill in Universal City. It's just right down the street from me up here in North Hollywood. And I love community, and I love helping people find their voice in their stage. So I was doing that once a week until, of course, COVID closed everything down. So we'll see what happens, because we don't know how long this COVID thing's going to go for. So, but I'd really like to start getting out and playing. That would be ideal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been dealing with, asking. I don't even ask anymore. So what was the challenge of putting out an album and not performing? Well, it's a sword at both ends of the stick here. I always say if we were back to working and doing normal, I don't know if anybody would ever hear Sharon Groom. Here we're home locked down, and I'm the guy looking for new music anyway. I love it. I think it's more of a great opportunity for you to get the exposure that you need to go out with the tracks. And even with the videos, it's so hard to get outside and try to do something with good relevance without just, putting a piece of crap together. I mean, that would represent you. That's not even worth it. Mm-hmm. So we will definitely post Soldier Boy, your beautiful picture from your YouTube at the end of our little chat today, so it gets the exposure and everything that it needs. Sharon is available at SharonGroom.com. She's on Facebook, Sharon Groom Music. I don't know if I'm going to get this right, Sharon. The Instagram is Sharon Rollis Funk. What is that?
Sharonious Funk, but actually,
Sharonious Funk. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
there's like Thelonious Monk, Sharonious Funk. Yeah, that's my
Oh,
Instagram handle.
oh,
But,
Sharon.
I do have a Sharon Groom Music on Instagram as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so Sharon Groom Music on Instagram, Sharon Groom Music on Facebook. Yeah.
And all on the wonderful Copa Room label with my man Josh and 7 Stars and the wonderful Georgia Vani. All good. I love every bit of it, and I encourage everybody to go check it out. Sharon, I'm sorry that it took this long to have so much fun and laugh on a Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, that's right.
Are you suspicious? I mean, you told me about any time, any minute with the ceiling coming down on you.
Hey,
Not
this
tonight.
shall pass. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't matter how crappy life gets. We're going through this COVID thing. This too shall pass. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, it's weird that anytime, any minute kind of came out because a lot of people are feeling that doom, that sense of doom. Like, oh my gosh, losing your job.
What's next?
Am I going to have a place to live? All of these things. A lot of people are going through this right now, but just we got to hang on, keep our head, keep treading water until we can get to land. So we'll get there.
No head cases. We're just there anyway. Sharon Groom, love you. Josh, love you.
Thank
Time to play a little Soldier Boy on Pat's set. What? Josh, would I cut you off?
Mm.
Oh, I thought you were going to jump in. Didn't mean to cut you off, brother. Gotta play a little Soldier Boy on Pat's Soundbites IGTV.
You've been training for. Mama doesn't know when you're gonna come home. She's afraid she's gonna lose her only son. Can't sleep, the bullets strike. Praying for a miracle, you're never afraid. Wish you were home in your childhood bed. Wish you had a safe place to rest your head. Down harder than it ever has before. Oh, on the desert floor, you got your boomstick ready and you know it's time to go. Oh, to the great unknown. You've been training for. Mama doesn't know when you're gonna come home. She's afraid she's gonna lose her only son. Can't sleep, the bullets strike. Praying for a miracle, you're never afraid. Wish you were home in your childhood bed. Wish you had a safe place to rest your head. And you're wondering why you're still alive. Oh, when the others tried. Triggers running out your face in the eyes of another soul. Oh, do you let them go? Nights, days, they come and go. Deafening bombs and their fiery blows. Lost your best friend, that was yesterday. Now you run for cover as a shrapnel.